Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. You guys have really been the best. I appreciate everything that happens here. I really do. Thank you so much. You guys offer little tidbits of information, and one of the ones that came up over the past several days, start going back into last week, is how people aren't paying attention. And I think I've talked about it. You guys have talked about it. When I talk to my brother-in-law, I talk to my cousin, I talk to my relatives, I talk to my friends. Nobody listens. But there's been something strange going on in the last week. So I took notes. Anyways, I want to share those with you. So I think that something in the public conscience is detecting that under the surface, right? Under the surface of the lake, there's something brewing, something going on. You know, it's funny. It doesn't matter if you're in 2 feet of water or 20 feet of water or 200 feet of water. If your boat is floating on the top, it doesn't matter how deep it is, right? Most people, they're just floating on the top of the water, and they don't care about what's going on, what the deep story is, what's really going on below the surface. But I think that the information I've got here is going to interest you, and let's talk about it, right? I think people are noticing, right, that there's something going on under the surface, and it's not a shallow problem. It's a deep problem. And they're starting to feel it. I don't know if it's tremors. I don't know if it's waves. I don't know what analogy to use besides, what's beneath the surface. But people have said things to me in the last week, not just about one topic, but about a myriad of subjects. And it got me thinking, right? If they're noticing it, then it must be real, right? We're not crazy as preppers, obviously. We're just paying attention. And it's funny how people that don't want to pay attention call people who do pay attention paranoid or tinfoil hat wearers or crazy, right? So I think people are beginning to feel something. They're feeling that there's something bigger going on. So one of the first things I noticed, or one of the first things I wrote down, was someone said, you know what? I've noticed that at the stores, the packages are getting smaller. Now, that might seem to be innocuous. That might seem to be lightweight. So someone noticed that packages are getting smaller. Right? So I just made the quick comment, well, I think they're trying to save money. Right? And they're like, yeah, the stores are trying to sell stuff cheaper, so they're selling smaller packages. And I thought, this person, they caught on, right? It's not difficult to catch on once you're paying attention. So that's one example of someone going, you know what, something's wrong here. They're playing games with us. You know, the next thing was just randomly talking to someone, and they didn't pop off at me. It wasn't a snarky comment. It was, hey, look, I've got some guns, and I've been practicing with them. And I was like, whoa, that's just kind of odd. Why would someone share that out of the blue? Well, they're letting me know that they have a defensive posture, right? They think that it's important for them. And this was a woman, by the way. They think it's important for them to have some defensive ability. Some shotguns and some rifles. No handguns in this case. And I thought that's very interesting. Why would someone have that need or that have a feeling or a sense? What have they seen? I don't know, right? I didn't get an answer to that. Why do you have guns? I'm not going to pry, right? That's really not my role, but I did make a note of it. People are starting to sense something is going on, and they're seeing it in lots of different ways. And as they put them together, maybe they'll become preppers, right? And of course, I just sit back and laugh because these people don't know who I am and what I do. They're like, oh, you know about prepping? I'm like, yeah, I've heard of the term. Anyways, another one, right? I was listening to a stock analyst today, usually very calm, very collected, a good sense of humor, but analytical. I mean, that's what these types of guys do. They're very analytical. They watch stuff. And he was talking about the fair market. The stock market, he was going, a lot of people are saying the stock market is valued fairly. And the guy just goes off. He goes, that's bullshit. And I'm like, whoa! Stock market analyst just blowing off some steam. He's had it with the bullshit, right, that's going on with the markets, how they're being manipulated, how we're being lied to, how we're being told the stock market is the economy, right, and that everything is just normal there. It was very interesting, right? And then today, I'm filming this at night before tomorrow morning. You're going to get it first thing in the morning. I'm filming it tonight, right? Boeing airplane, Boeing Airlines, Boeing Manufacturing, they're part of the Dow Jones. Their company announced some horrifyingly bad news. The Dow opened up negative 200. By the end of the day, it was positive 200. So the stock market analyst goes, on what? Why? What rhyme or reason? How can it possibly make sense that the stock market has a differential of 400 points based on horrifying news from one of the Dow Jones 30? And Dow Jones is 30. Only 30 companies that are picked by the Dow Jones to represent the economic health and condition, right, of the entire market. And Boeing took a shit, and the market still went up 400. The analyst guy just went haywire. He just fucking lost it, right? He's cussing like I am. It was hilarious. I enjoyed it because I enjoy a goodly amount of just blowing off some steam, telling it like it is, insulting your expressions with some profanity, and then out of nowhere, and again, these are all different examples. Today, out of nowhere, someone, this is another woman, she says, it sure would be good to know a guy who would be helpful in the zombie apocalypse. And I was like, where the fuck did that come from? Right? So I'm getting a lot of these types of comments where people, they're just noticing something isn't quite right. The zombie apocalypse, and I go, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of ex-military people that are gun enthusiasts and hunters. I'm sure they would help you kill some zombies and protect your family. It was really, but out of nowhere, I want a man to help deal with the zombie apocalypse. And once again, because it involved firearms, I didn't want to delve in. I didn't want to sound too inquisitive because that makes people nervous, But the fact that was shared with me, I found very interesting. And once again, this person didn't know that I'm John and I have the Prepared Mind channel with all you guys, and we get together every day and talk about this kind of stuff. But the zombie apocalypse, what does that really mean to people? I know very few people that think that actual zombies or a zombified human is possible. Most people just think of zombies, and this is what I take from what most people say, is that zombies are basically meth heads, crackheads, complete and total morons and buffoons, so that when shit hits the fan, they're going to lose their mind, and they're just going to be these half-starved, crazed, lunatic people who have just cracked completely and are on and they've got a very limited amount of time before their bodies break down and they just collapse. A zombie, right? This is a new one because we've heard for years now. Oh, the employment is so low. I almost did my Gilbert Gottfried. Employment is so low. So low. Anyways, the employment's so low, you can get a job anywhere. Why keep that job when you can just quit and go find one the same day? Right? That's been the fucking attitude since they started the QE shit, 5 years ago. And it has made me sick to my stomach to think that human beings have that mentality. I don't care about my job. I'll just go get a new one. It's such a good economy. Well, someone said, I'm not so sure about this employment thing. I'm like, what the, where did that come from? That's all the news does is talk about how low unemployment is, and they're like, my job's really valuable. I'm like, really? You're going to actually work, huh? You're going to care about your job. You're going to give a shit, right? And the sense I have is people are not having an easy time finding jobs, or they're realizing the jobs that are available, they're not paying the bills. And so they're like, I'm going to get the job I've got and I'm going to keep it. Once again, it just seems like standard common sense thinking. Open your eyes and you'll see it. But people are actually starting to say the words, right? How did that go again? Right? I value my job. I haven't heard anyone say I value my job in a long time. What is going on? What is happening? And again, I've got all of these examples from across the board. Just people I run into saying these things, and it got my attention, so I started remembering them and wrote them down. What is happening? Why are people sensing these different sectors and feeling the waves and knowing there's problems deep down? It's very interesting. If I just were to go right to a general topic, politics, right? People know there's a problem. There's something really wrong in politics. I'm here in the United States of America with most of you guys, and you're in the United States of America. We have a two-party system. But what we're seeing is a splintering. We're seeing a splintering in the Republican Party. People that want the Constitution and want freedom and want our rights. And then there's Republicans that just don't give a shit. All they care about is lower taxes and to oppose Democrats. But they don't really have a foundation. A lot of these are Trump typers. They just want a good economy, low taxes, and they don't care what the government does to them. And then on the Democrat side, you've got your old school blue dog type Democrats. They just want more entitlements. And then to the left of them are these fucking wacko communist types that want everything for free. They don't want a job, right? They hate everybody who is politically to the right of them, right? And so now we've got, it seems like 4 political parties. You've got old school constitutionalists and you've got old school Democrats. And then you've got these Republicans that are just fucking rhinos, essentially. And then you've got these Democrats that are just communists. It's like we've got 4 different parties and we're voting through this 2-party system. And it's making people nervous. I know Democrats that don't want to talk about Democrat politics. It's bothering them. And I definitely know a lot of Republicans that are like, what the fuck is going on with these people that don't believe in the Constitution, but they call themselves Republicans? So there's this political splintering, right? Because something is wrong with the system. Below the surface, something is wrong, right? And let's go into banking. Oh, this is fabulous. Banking, right? I am seeing and hearing from people less and less trust of the banks. And I'm not talking about JP Morgan or Chase or Citibank, or Wells Fargo. I'm talking about people with their local banks. They're just not liking their local banks. They're like, yeah, I don't know if I want to keep my money over there. I'm like, what are you talking about? Where'd that come from? I don't know. I just, my bank is screwing me. I don't feel like they're taking care of me. And I'm thinking, what are they feeling? How are they sensing that? They're not full of, they're not wealthy. They can't go into the bank and demand their $30,000 out of their savings account and then find out that their bank doesn't have it. Right? I'm one of the few people that's actually ever gone into a bank that I know of and said, you know what, I could use $18,000 in cash. This is back when I was married and I had the marriage and I needed to buy something big. This is back when I had money. Oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. Anyways, good to go buy a fifth wheel, and I wanted to use cash. And I had a bunch of cash in the bank, and I walk in, and you tell the bank teller, I need this much money, and they go get the bank manager, and they're like, John, you're supposed to order money. I'm like, yeah, last second kind of thing. Anyways, I can't do that anymore. But the regular people who I know are just working poor, they're like, I don't trust my bank. Where did that come from? Why did they just say that? What is bothering people that they're just starting to mumble this shit? Here's another one, though, that's coming up, and it's getting people's attention. It's food. Food safety, food quality, food nutrition. All of a sudden, people are giving a shit. Now, most people I know go, I can't afford to eat organic. It costs a lot more, and I don't have that much money. Right? Click, yeah, right. We don't have all that much money. It's interesting, though, right? This food is becoming an issue. People are starting to think about it. There's not even a crisis here in America. There's not a banking crisis, a power crisis, a fuel crisis. There's not a food shortage. But people are like, you know what? I just don't know about the food. And I'm thinking, why aren't you prepping? Why aren't you doing all you can to get as much food as you can because you sensed something wrong? Maybe that's what they're asking or waiting for me to say. Maybe I just need to say, maybe you ought to have a couple of weeks or a couple extra weeks on hand above and beyond what you normally do. You get a chance to buy some rice that is high quality. Go ahead and buy that. Maybe I'll start saying that when I hear people talking about food quality. Stop buying food that's manufactured by a company. When you look at the ingredients list, it's all chemicals. Why don't you buy food that's wholesome? Anyways, and while we're on food, quickly, I want to get to Wise Foods. Apparently, Wise Foods, who makes freeze-dried Armageddon chow, has turned over the names of their customers. What a stupid fucking move that is. I have bought Wise Foods. And so, hey, I'm on a new list. Right. You can come and get my 1 bucket of Wise Foods or my 10 buckets of Wise Food, right? But you're gonna be served a significant helping of an appetizer, right? That's what I don't think that Wise and the government or whoever doesn't understand, is that people that have Wise Food probably have lead, copper, brass, and cold blue steel. And if it comes to it, if we get a shit it's the fan situation, people that have Wise brand foods, they're not going to hand it over. They're going to understand the dire situation we're in, and it's going to result in a lot of extra people getting hurt when they don't need to get hurt. The fucking government is stupid. They need to back off. And Wise, that was the most unwise thing they could have done, because every prepper on the planet is going to stop buying their food. Right? It has to do with trust. Trust. That great American concept that great America hasn't been trustworthy in years and years. The nation as a whole has been untrustworthy. And that's why people are preppers. They see it. We're sensing this shit going on under the surface. When a company like Wise, they know who they're making their food for, turns names over, their customer lists over. What are they thinking, right? What is going on? What could have prompted them to go, okay, we'll do that, instead of telling the government to fuck off, to telling it's ridiculous. So something is going on. Why would the government go to a company? Why would a private company, why would a telemarketing, why? Why would they do that? Just stupid, beyond stupid. Okay. And again, I'll tell you guys, don't buy any Wise food. Fuck them. Fuck them at this point if they're going to turn over their customers. There is no respect for the individual, their rights, their privacy. If they won't respect our privacy, then fuck them. Period. Right? And I know Wise isn't the only company, and there's other companies that probably do it, and it's just not being announced. But fuck them at this point. That's where we're at in this whole thing. I'm talking about you're in a boat and you're floating along, and you sense that there's a problem underneath the surface. Why would you continue to help a company or a person or the government if all they're going to do is fuck us over? That is the mentality that preppers are taking. And even regular street people that I've collected this information on, right? I'm not giving any names, obviously, because I respect their privacy. But, right, there's this issue. There's something going on, and it's coming to the top. It's coming to the top. Now, speaking of not trusting and what the hell, government. There is no confidence in government. None at all. Not just politics. I'm talking about confidence in government. What they're doing, how they're spending money, what their thinking is, whether we're talking about law enforcement or the bureaucracy, or we're talking about government that works with infrastructure, right? There's no confidence. There is within not only the political parties, but within government institutions themselves. There are agendas and sub-agendas that we don't understand, that we don't agree with, that we don't like. Not just preppers, but regular people are feeling it. They're like, someone talked to me about trying to get government assistance because they're a single parent. And this was a man. And he's like, I just don't want to go to him. I go to him and I feel like I'm treated like shit and I'm not getting any help, and why should I do this? And right, he's like, there's no confidence in the government. Why even bother? Right? Now, here's another big one. Safety. This has come up lately. People are like, I don't know about the police. They don't have a good feeling about law enforcement. They're like, when I call them, I'm afraid that I'm going to get shot now. I've heard people make this this complaint or this excuse or this concern. They feel like that if they have to deal with law enforcement, they're gonna get in trouble. Like they're gonna be blamed for something, or they could be arrested or shot. So their concern is over their own self-defense. They're concerned about protecting their families, their friends, their children especially. They're becoming more defensive. And this might go along with the buying guns comment, right? But I'm hearing more people that are, not just talking about getting guns, but about self-defense and protection. They don't trust their safety to other people the way they used to. They're not feeling it, right? There's something going on, and people, for some reason, are just talking about it. Just a conversation. Walk by, discuss something with some people, hear them talking, and that's what they're discussing. It's quite interesting. And I want to wrap this up with retirement. Retirement is something historically that didn't happen. You would work until you could not work anymore, and then you would hope that you had family that would take care of you, right? That you could be the doting grandparent that offers a little bit of wisdom and help, and that you would be fed until you passed away from whatever ailment or natural cause, and you would die. And I'm talking about 100 years ago and beyond, right? And then this idea came up with Social Security. Thank you, FDR. Everyone should retire, except he set the retirement age above the average age that people lived at the time. Now people are living much longer due to medication and medical treatment and some advances in nutrition. So people are now living, and they're living beyond this retirement age. And so there's not enough money to go around for retirement. Baby boomers, I think 10,000 baby boomers, that would be my parents, or people my parents' age, are retiring on a daily basis. 10,000 per day. That's the number I've heard thrown out there. So how is the government doing that? Because are there 10,000 middle income jobs being created daily to replace those people who have finally, they quit their other job and now they have their retirement job, they're quitting that, they want to retire. Because if you make too much money and you retire, you don't get any Social Security. So you got to quit your job in order to retire, right? But if you retire, who's going to pay your retirement? Because it's an unfunded program, so Social Security is. So retirement has been very something I've heard lately. People going, I really want to retire, but I don't think I should, right? I don't think I should stop working. I don't have confidence in the retirement system, in other words, right? We're being told that the stock market is great, that unemployment is at its lowest ever. We're being told that the economy is fine, and that the banking system is solvent. We're being told that the economy is strong and it's robust. But people are having all of these concerns about their retirement. I don't think I ought to retire yet, right? Retirement used to be for rich people. I'm going to retire, my grandfather and my father made millions of dollars, and I'm a millionaire, and I'm giving the business to my son to run, and I'm going to retire now, right? I retire at the end of every day, and then I go back to work the next. That's about the only retirement I get. But these subjects that I brought up in this video, they speak to me. The people that I listened to, I heard, I had conversations with, there's something going on under the surface. And these are not preppers. These are regular people. People that 6 months ago I would have just written them off. That fucking person's never going to learn, right? But now they're starting to sense it. What is going on? Do you see this? Are you hearing these sorts of things? So what I want to ask you, are you hearing from people little tidbits, like they're getting just 1% of why you should be a prepper, and 1% over here, and 0.5% down here, right? And maybe 2% up here. But they're just little teeny pieces that they're starting to figure out. Is it because they've watched the news? They happen to catch an interesting video on YouTube? They heard someone else talking? Or is it their own experience and their own observations? Because they're kind of starting to pay attention. They're feeling it, right? A lot of places where people feel things the most is in their wallet, right? And that's why I brought up shrinkflation, employment. It's just people are starting to feel it. They're starting to note it. So since we're already on the Prepper Express, maybe we ought to pay attention to them, because if they become alarmed, these non-preppers, and start prepping, well, that's good for them. But if they become alarmed, maybe that should be a clue to us that we're getting awfully close, right? That there's a serious problem, one that we need to step up our own programs with. We're already preppers. We should have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. We should have a plan. We should understand the world around us. But maybe we need to step up buying more preps. Maybe we need to step up looking around, right? Paying attention to our environment instead of just going through our day going, well, I'm prepared, fuck it. Maybe we ought to start paying closer attention and see if we see trends or problems in our areas, right? The movement of people, their behavior, their attitudes, whether it's based on need or whether it's based on politics. We ought to be paying closer attention, is what I think. Because if the average Joe is noticing ripples in the water, right, we as preppers can look a little deeper and see what is going on. So you guys, be cool. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours, right? Thank you for supporting us here, our research, what we're looking into, and thank you for contributing also. Many, many, many of you contribute questions, comments, send me emails, send messages of all sorts, and I really appreciate it. You guys take very good care. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Semper Fi. Godspeed to all.